In recent years, we are increasingly noticing the negative effects of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, carbon monoxide, and other gases that cause some various forms of negative effects such as pollution, acid rain, and overall global climate change. A significant portion of those greenhouse gases comes from emissions from gasoline engines, from vehicles that use gasoline and related fuels and in return release those kinds of gases. So isn't it time that we move to a new era? Isn't it time that we move to vehicles powered by electricity, simply powered by rechargeable batteries that have decreased carbon footprint and a decreased effect on the environment? Electric cars on this way will be the best alternative. So the main goal of this presentation is to encourage the audience to use electric cars instead of using gasoline engines by displaying, first of all, the harmful effects of gasoline engines and their relationship towards greenhouse gases. Next, I'll be moving to the positive effects of using electric cars. After that, I'll be going to clearing some misconceptions about electric cars, and finally towards the overall conclusion. First of all, we start from the harmful effects of those greenhouse gases. So every one of us had that everyday common experience of going down the street, whether it's basically going down by car, using a car that often releases those toxic gases, or simply by being a pedestrian that would walk down the street and tend to inhale some of those gases. Either way, electric cars will be the best solution for those problems, as it would reduce the carbon emissions. So do you know how much carbon dioxide and other gases are released only by vehicles alone? According to a report from EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, which has the title of Total Greenhouse Gas Emissions in the US in 2014, 26% of carbon dioxide is produced by vehicle emissions. And those numbers are alarming since it is more than a quarter of the total emissions, and it is only the second after that released by power plants. Next, we would come to the positive effects of using electric cars. So on the other hand, electric cars will reduce that carbon footprint mentioned earlier and will reduce the chance of those carbon dioxide emissions and other emissions related to fossil fuels. According to an article titled Gasoline vs. Electric by Rachel Neeler, posted by UCS, which is the Union of Concerned Scientists, on November 12, 2015 on the UCS website, the use of middle-sized electric cars compared to middle-sized gasoline cars will reduce the carbon footprint by as much as 51%. That's over half of the emissions. And a similar ratio of reduction will be achieved by large-sized vehicles that operate on electric batteries, as they reduce the carbon emissions by as much as 53% compared to large vehicles that use fossil fuels. Those numbers indicate that electric cars on a widespread basis should be implemented. In fact, it would be ethically appropriate to move to a better option that would result in a better sustained environment for the sake of future generations and for the sake of humanity in general, as people are already suffering from the negative effects of climate change. As we hear about devastating hurricanes in some parts of the world, we also hear about droughts in some other parts and other long-term effects of climate change and pollution that are a result of those increasing greenhouse gases. Then we would clear some misconceptions that many people hold on electric cars. Some people would say that, well, since electric cars consume electricity, that electricity is also produced from plants that use power plants that use coal or oil or other sources, and they also have a carbon footprint. So according to an interview with Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla Motors, which is the most prominent producer of electric cars, and that interview is conducted by the TV show Big Interview, published on September 19th, 2014. The amount of CO2 per car, that is from electricity generated from a power plant, is much less than the amount of CO2 released by a single gasoline engine that individually burns those fossil fuels. Also, contrary to the other misconception which is that the electric cars have a short range and a short life battery and aren't safe for long traveling. So Elon Musk also stated that they are developing newer technologies and newer types of efficient batteries. In fact, they are developing some batteries that can hold as much charge to power a car for 300 miles with a built-in charger and even replaceable batteries. All of those would be improvements that would prove the efficiency of electric cars as well as their safety of use, as well as the fact that they are more environmentally friendly. Overall, electric cars will be a more convenient alternative to gas engines, as they will be helping the environment, as well as being a more convenient and safe use with cars. The migration towards electric cars from gasoline engines might be a big costly transformation, but in the end it is worth sustaining a cleaner environment and worth having a better opportunity of walking down the street and having a better chance of breathing fresh air.